War Eagle, War Eagle, War Eagle, War Report family. I'm your host, C Dub. Day 3 of the SEC Media Days is in the books, and we are all here to discuss it in tonight's latest edition of the Midweek Report. War Eagle, everyone. War Eagle, War Eagle, War Eagle. I'm joined by B. Will. Ike Jones and Mike G are in the ATL covering the 2022 SEC Media Days, so they will not be joining us tonight. But we do want to welcome you to the latest edition of the Midweek Report, brought to you by show sponsor, auburnsports.com. Guys, please head on over there for your latest in terms of recruiting and all news regarding Auburn sports. Shout out to JG Tate and the guys over there for doing an amazing job covering Auburn sports. Appreciate you guys for supporting us. Also, want to show you guys some love for hanging out with us on a Wednesday night, or if you're watching this on a replay, we appreciate you. Now, if you're out on social media, we need you to do us a favor. We need you to share this video, use the hashtag, help people to find our content, help us to grow our community. And while you're watching, you may not be commenting, but at least you can do is smash that like button, guys. And if you so happen to be new to our channel, we need you to subscribe, hit the notification bell so you are notified when we do go live. Now, usually Mike G talks about this, or Ike, but I think I'll take up the mantle and talk to you about why you need to become a patron with the War Report.
Tell them about the
guys. I know it. We have done a great job during this offseason, making this offseason seems a little bit shorter than usual. And we've been doing that by bringing you guys amazing content, guys. We have interviewed coaches, players. If you are a member or a patron for $5.99 a month, you have gotten exclusive access to it. You've gotten first dibs on those interviews, and those interviews have been amazing. And guys, you definitely want to become a patron with the season coming up, because you'll get access to even more special content, film reviews, guys, members only chats during halftime and post game of the season. All the more reason for you to jump on and become a patron right now with us. Also, an interview that is just released to our members. We talked to Shed Jackson, a great interview with him, amazing young man, excited about the wide receiver room and what they're going to do this year. But Shed stopped by to chop it up with the War Report, and that's available to our members right now. Also, what's also been available to our members is a conversation we had with kicker Evan McGuire. He stopped by to hang out with the War Report to talk about special teams. That interview will be released tomorrow for everyone. Definitely want to be on the lookout for that, guys, just in case you have not seen it already.
Good talk.
And guys, we got a giveaway. We're giving away an AU t-shirt brought to you by War Eagle Oil. That's our guy, Walt Taylor. If you want to enter the win, drop the hashtag, get your weight up. Make sure to check your spelling and make sure to be here at the 1 hour mark when we give that away. You have to be present, or as we've shown time and time again, if he or she is gone, we will draw again. So please be sure to enter your hashtag and make sure you're present just in case you are the lucky winner. Now, B. Will, how are you doing, sir?
I cannot complain, man. I can't complain. You know, we out here working while other people probably at a cushy hotel, feet propped up on pillows, you know. SEC Media Days is hard work. They're out there bustling. We're proud of them representing us out there, extending the hard work, extending the War Report out even more to the masses. I'm hearing that, we got recognized by people who were not Auburn fans, not Auburn outlets. They say, hey, man, I heard what you guys do. And that's in large part because of what all four of us have to do and spread our wings. And they are Y'all know Mike is everywhere. Mike is gonna be in the Twitter spaces with y'all. Mike is gonna be on the boards with y'all. Mike is gonna be answering them DMs from y'all, and he'll do that. Ike will be on the YouTube talking the comments when people make comments on the segments after we post them up. But man, the effort that has gone into it up until this point, very proud that we have been able to make it this far and have this saturation. Proud of the audience that we got. Man, proud of everybody in the chat right now, everybody who's going to watch after the show is over, and glad we could be at an SEC Media Days, man. This a year ago, this was like, wouldn't even thought, you know what I'm saying? Well, I can't say we wouldn't have thought, but I didn't expect us to make so much ground so soon, but it's a testament to hard work.
Definitely, man. Definitely. And I was actually talking to Mike G a little bit earlier, and he was just telling me, like, dude, we were just a YouTube channel just a year ago, and now we're at SEC Media Days, and it blew his mind just to see like other people from other markets aware of our program and our show. And so to see our reach growing, man, it's very humbling, man. And of course, we couldn't do it without you guys watching with us. So we definitely appreciate you guys hanging out with us. William Kelly, he asked a quick question. He says, what time is Harsin speaking tomorrow? I believe that is at 9. Now, I don't know. I think that's 9 Central or 9 Eastern. I don't know, but I can double check that. So we'll double check that and get back to you. Maybe some people in the comments already know, and they can probably help you out with that. But definitely are excited, and better things to come. Actually, talking to Mike G, it's tough to do the setup and do some of the like live interviews that we were trying to do at SEC Media Days. So in the future, there will be more of us represented there, not just 2, so that we can divide and conquer and do more with our setup. So be on the lookout for that down the road, especially. So Matavius Walker says 9 a.m. Eastern
bright
time.
and early.
So bright and early. So Mike G said it was going to be an early morning. So be on the lookout for some content coming out of SEC Media Days from the War Report. So we may not be able to do some stuff live, but we still got you guys covered with some amazing content. So be on the lookout for that, guys. Let's go ahead and get into it, B. Let's talk about some of the big notes coming out of SEC Media Days. And of course, it started with Greg Sankey on day 1, kind of doing his address.
State of the SEC Union.
State of the SEC Union. And he kind of hit on some major topics. And one of the big things that he talked about was, of course, the talk that's almost becoming a yearly thing is conference expansion. And with the Big Ten recently announcing that USC and UCLA will be joining in 2024, he was asked about if there were talks about the SEC possibly expanding beyond 16 teams. And pretty much his response, paraphrasing him, basically saying, we're not going to respond to what other conferences do. We're going to do what we do. Now, I know I like the response, but you have to know that he's looking to expand and grow even stronger as a conference. But what are your thoughts on the talk about conference expansion? And I believe it was asked if there was going to be a push for Texas and Oklahoma to join the SEC sooner than 2025 when they're expected to join. And he kind of left it up to the schools to determine if they want to break away. But it looks like as of now, Oklahoma and Texas are going to honor their agreement with the Big 12 and leave in 2025.
Right.
But what are your thoughts about Sankey's address, particularly as it pertains to conference expansion?
You know, I like Greg Sankey. He talks with the confidence of a man who knows he has the best product. And he does, in fact, have the best product. The SEC runs college football. We are the reason that college football is worth watching. Even for all the hype about the Big Ten, I'm still a little confused as to how the Big Ten has a comparable television deal to the SEC, because if you tell me about 4 out of the 14 Big Ten teams are watchable, all right, maybe about 8 of the 14 SEC teams are watchable. And since we've gotten some even better coaches into the conference, I mean, it makes those games even more competitive. I mean, ordinarily, Ole Miss and Mississippi State are runovers for everybody else in the conference outside of the very, very weak teams. But as of right now, the only absolute pushovers are Vandy and Missouri. South Carolina is at the very least looking up. Tennessee took a 20-year hiatus.
Let them tell it. We're a pushover too, but more
we'll
on that
see.
later.
We beat Ole Miss, so and Arkansas,
yeah, but you understand that
convenient short memory on that. Yeah. So I mean, we have very few teams who you hear their name and you're like, oh, well, I don't really care about that game. And the Big Ten has like, I don't know, like 10 teams like that. So I'm very confused how they got a better media or a comparable media rights deal to the SEC. I have no idea how that works. I know Ohio State is a very big draw. They're a very big draw in that region, but do they win anything? I mean, you beating up on Iowa and Purdue and Nebraska and is Maryland in the Big Ten, or am I making that?
They're in the Big Ten now. They were formerly of the ACC, but they're in the Big Ten.
So I'm okay. Those aren't the only teams up there. Michigan had been good, but not as good as they should have been just up until last year. So they finally broke through. Then they got dusted once they got on the big stage. Illinois had been mostly terrible. Penn State, honestly, maybe a little overrated on a consistent basis because James Franklin had some hype coming out of Vanderbilt, but he had the 1 year where they beat Ohio State, and that was pretty much it. I think Penn State has been consistently overrated because of that one win against Ohio State, and they haven't done much since that. They haven't won the division.
They've been decent, but they're not the class of the Big Ten. I wouldn't consider them the class by
so
far.
Who would we consider the class of the Big Ten then? Ohio State actually recruits at an elite level, can pretty consistently wins their division and their conference, but doesn't hold up their end of the bargain on the biggest stage. Is there anybody else who, when you think the season's starting, maybe like I would say no, it's just Ohio State until last year. It's like, okay, well, Michigan finally broke through. Maybe they'll break through. Maybe that's a one-off. I have no idea. And I am confused as to why their deal might be as valuable. So I like that Sankey said, well, we see what they did. Sankey sound like a mob boss who also doubles as a politician during the day. And if somebody's kind of like investigating him for running an underground racket, and he's like, "Oh, I mean, what are you talking about? We're just doing business. I'm just glad to be here serving the people." He's like the kingpin, except the kingpin wasn't that gracious on the service, so that's a bad analogy. But we have the better product. We have the better product, and he knows it. So what is he going to say? Oh, we're not going to react to that when he knows he's probably already got like 75% of a deal worked out for the next team. Why would he have to tell us? We didn't know Oklahoma and Texas were about to jump. Did anybody see that coming? Right. Those whispers started breaking like a day before. So he kept that pretty tight on the wraps. I don't see why he has to tip his hand at this point. I think everybody knows it's coming. And honestly, I believe in when he says it's not based on what other people do. Because one thing he said that he likes better about our acquisitions were that they are within a geographical footprint that makes sense. The Southeastern Conference, if I map the entire United States, it is still the South and the East relative to the rest of the stuff out there in the West. Yeah, Texas is like dead smack in the middle down there, but this is all the Southeastern portion of the country.
Right.
What's his name? Clemson maintains that. Any Florida team we were to add maintains that. North Carolina would maintain that. Another team in Tennessee would maintain that. There is no team that we are thinking about adding, or any Texas team maintains that. There's no team that even kind of makes sense for us to add that wouldn't strengthen our geographical dominance for who we have and where they are in the United States relative to other teams. So you don't have to fly 2,500 miles to play an away game. And we're thinking about it for football, but those basketball teams have to play each other too.
Yeah.
And that's not just one a season. So yeah, maybe one season Ohio State has to travel to LA. And USC has to travel to Penn State. But basketball season, the basketball team is going to be like flying back and forth to the Midwest and the East Coast. How does that make any sense? I get why it makes sense money-wise, but that makes no sense. So we have the better acquisitions as a conference. I like that he is holding pat, or he's talking like we're holding pat, but we really know Greg Sankey already has these moves mapped out. And I am certain that we will hear about the next one. Maybe it'll take 2 years, or maybe right when Texas and Oklahoma are about to break loose. They said that they'll stay through their deal, which I mean, who knows? Who knows?
Well, with that in mind, that takes me into the other part, because one of the other points that was made was the expansion of the college football playoff, and that was something that Greg Sankey really wanted to push. I think he wanted to go. I think he wanted to get away from the automatic qualifier as conference champion, because as we've seen, you have a conference champion in maybe the Big 12,
right,
or maybe even the Pac-12 if it breaks right for them. But it's a weak opponent, right? We can think of teams from another Power 5 conference that may not have won their conference, but would beat that Pac-12 or Big 12 school head to head.
Right.
And so do you think the moves with Sankey potentially looking to expand, because as the Big 10 is trying to keep up with the SEC,
right,
the SEC is trying to squash the competition to where you almost have a three power conferences, or two, maybe.
Yeah, really.
Right. Yeah. That will indeed eliminate this automatic qualifier, because you're going to have to pull from multiple schools from these conferences to fill your college football playoff, given that you expand beyond 4.
Yeah.
So what's the chess move here, in your opinion?
Well, so I read that article that Mike G was talking about a couple broadcasts ago, specifically about who said no to the expansion, why they said no to it, and why that made USC and UCLA jump ship. So apparently, Sankey and 3 other conference commissioners, because this is all 10 conference commissioners are actually involved, because technically all 10 conferences are eligible for the playoff. Now, they don't really have a rat's chance to actually get in, but technically they are eligible. So Sankey and 3 other administrators said, hey, here's the plan. It's going to be 8. It will not be an automatic conference champion. Conference champions will not get an automatic bid. The reason they didn't want that, and the reason he elocuted in the article I read, was because what if you get a number 20 Arizona playing a number 6 Oregon, and Arizona wins? Now we got a number 20 team with an automatic qualifier, and there is serious doubt that that is one of the 8 best teams in the country. So he thinks that would lessen the value of the playoff if you let just any conference champion in. So instead, what he wanted was you let in the 6 highest ranked conference champions. So if Cincinnati wins this conference, and again, this is back to the group of 10, the group of 5 getting to say, if Cincinnati wins this conference and they went undefeated, but Arizona in that situation lost 4 games, they're number 20, but they beat, Oregon in the title game. Well, Cincinnati's going to get in, and Arizona might be on the outside looking in. And that's just how it's going to be. Right. And so the Pac-12 commissioner, this is the new guy. This is not the guy who sabotaged all their stuff with the deals. Their new guy said, we don't really like that. And the ACC, if I'm not mistaken, the ACC said no. I think it was the Big 12 commissioner said no. I have to check. But the Pac-12 commissioner definitely said no to this. And Sankey said, okay. They wanted automatic qualifiers. The Pac-12 commissioner said, no, we want whoever our conference champion is to get in the playoff.
You're referring to the alliance.
Right. All right. The alliance. That was so
man, sneaky. The Big Ten played chess with them, but go ahead.
Yeah, that was fun. We laughed about the alliance as soon as it was announced, and now it's even funnier. But that's what he said no to. That's what the Pac-12 commissioner said no to. But because of that, they realized that there are billions of dollars at stake with the new playoff contract that is up to be renewed, I think after 2024, if I'm not mistaken, something like that.
I think so.
And the biggest schools who wanted a bigger piece of the pie, USC, not necessarily UCLA, but USC was like, listen, man, why are you saying no to this? Why are we saying no to this? And there's even precedent for it. One precedent I read, the same article was outlining how the Big East in football, when West Virginia was part of the Big East, Louisville was part of the Big East, Rutgers was part of the Big East, all of these teams said no to the college football playoff. They said no to it. Well, excuse me, this conference did. And that conference lasted about 2 more years before the football teams, schools left, and the remaining teams don't play football. So we have a pattern here. Every time you say no to a playoff expansion and big money, the institutions who have football programs who think they can be competitive, they're going to say, you're not speaking for me. I'm out of here. So now the Pac-12 is in a situation where they almost have to accept whatever ball the SEC and Big Ten want to kick their way. Like, hey, if you don't want to get shut out of postseason altogether, you're going to accept this. But at this point, and Ike made this point on the previous broadcast, why would they even bother? They gave you a chance. Yeah. The SEC and Big Ten can basically go to a table and hash out the next 20 years of college football all by themselves. They don't need anybody else anymore because USC and UCLA are playing Ohio State and Michigan and Penn State, and Alabama's going to be playing Oklahoma and Texas, and Georgia's going to be playing Oklahoma. They don't need anybody. If anybody else gets added to the SEC that is a big name program, I don't really know how the ACC stays afloat. The ACC is a Clemson and Miami away from completely folding.
And I've been hearing the Big 12 has been a suitor for this school, but it would almost make sense for them, the ACC, to get this school. What about Notre Dame?
Everything about Notre Dame makes sense in the Big Ten to me. It just does. Because
in the Big Ten?
The Big Ten. Because Michigan is one of their natural rivals. They're in the Big Ten. USC is one of their natural rivals. They're in the Big Ten. If they play Navy, that could be one of their out-of-conference games. Did they play? They play Purdue from time to time. Their natural rivals are all in the Big
Michigan
10.
State, Michigan. Yeah.
Now
USC.
It's easy. It's easy. Yeah. Geographically, they fit right there in Indiana. I don't know why they wouldn't go there. The only reason they would go there is because they still think that they're a better product than they are. And they might be, hey, you and me, Clemson, let's go ahead and make a stand and we can prop up the ACC. And don't get me wrong, it would work. It would work simply because enough people still think highly of Notre Dame and now think highly of Clemson and what Dabo has done. And I think Cristobal is right around the corner. I don't think Cristobal is going to let that program fail. They've already been snatching food out of people's mouths on the recruiting trail. Saban's mouth, actually. We can get to that a little later, but that has already been happening. So maybe Miami and Clemson are going to hold it up. If you add Notre Dame, then that's enough to keep it afloat. Because the Big Ten is almost completely resting on Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State. 3 notable teams is enough to keep it afloat. So if Notre Dame decides they want to go to the ACC permanently, I think that saves the ACC. But I don't think they should. I don't think that makes sense. But I don't run these things. So.
The only thing, from what I was reading, the only thing that makes it tough for Notre Dame in the Big Ten is their TV contract.
Right.
And so I don't know, leaving NBC to go to the Big Ten. I don't know if that's where. I don't know if the Big Ten can accommodate Notre Dame or even the SEC for that matter. So I would think they will look to go for a small pond type of conference that would give them everything that they would want. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's the only problem. It makes sense for them to be in the Big Ten geographically and as well as to the points we already mentioned about their rivals. But it'll be interesting to see what happens there because maybe they remain independent. Maybe this is a perfect scenario for Notre Dame to remain independent while the conferences begin to gobble each other up. Who knows? So I don't know.
Yeah. You know what? I'm thinking about it. Notre Dame is going to save whatever conference they decide to go to, they're going to either save them if it's the Big 12 or ACC, or they're going to give them an undoubted advantage when it comes to media rights. And that
Right.
would be the play. I think Mike was saying on another broadcast, the NBC deal doesn't pay Notre Dame more than what the new media rights contract would be for either the SEC or the Big Ten. Those two deals are going to be enormous. I saw one estimation saying that it would produce $50 million per year per school, compared to what is less than $10 million for some Pac-12 schools and ACC schools right now. There is a lot more money to be made. And whoever gets Notre Dame, if it's the ACC, then they can stay alive. If it's the Big Ten or SEC, then we're all going to get a lot more money in our pockets. So
yeah, for sure.
There's a lot.
For sure. It's a big pool. Enough about Notre Dame.
Mike
them.
would be swearing right now.
Right. Let's talk about Mike G. There's a comment from Gabby. Appreciate you hanging out with us, Gabby. How about Mike G with all the hard-hitting questions at SEC Media Days? He definitely has made his presence known at SEC Media Days. Shout out to Mike G. I'm pretty sure he can't wait to fill us in on the experience. Also, Lisa Wise says Harsin goes up at 9:05 Eastern, 8:05 Central. Appreciate you, Lisa, for the super chat. Let's talk about a question he asked Nick Saban. Basically, does Nick Saban really miss Gus? And of course, Nick Saban kept it professional. Heaped a lot of praise on Gus Malzahn, but really didn't answer the question. But I started to think about this, B, and I think it's very possible that he does.
Okay, I might agree, but you tell me why. Tell me why you think Nick Saban.
No, I don't think he does. I'm just joking. I don't think he does, actually. I think that when I look at how tough Auburn has been to play in Auburn under Gus.
Right.
So let's look at this. So I took during Gus's tenure in Tuscaloosa, Alabama won by an average score of 44-22. Auburn went 0-4 on the road against Tuscaloosa during Malzahn's
3 touchdowns per game.
Yeah,
that's rough. Okay.
However, in Auburn, Auburn had a record of 3-1, making it 3-5. Right? Average score there is 30-29, closer. But even under Gene Chizik, now we know, it gets a little different. Saban wasn't coaching long during the Tuberville era.
Right.
But under Chizik went 0-1 and lost 42-14 at home against Saban. So with Malzahn being
he only had one game? 2012, 2010.
Actually, he had, I'm sorry, I repeat, I'm sorry, he had 2 games. Because he had the first game where it was really close. So nevertheless, Chizik went 0-2 at home against Nick Saban.
Yeah.
Malzahn had a better record.
He did.
And when I look at that, I gotta give Malzahn credit. He made it tough to play at Auburn for Nick Saban, and he was a thorn in his side as a result. But what do you think? What do you think about that question? Do you think Saban misses Gus?
First off, shout out to Mike G for getting Nick Saban to actually chuckle. He's usually a Stone fan. I mean, he's a little more,
very stoic. Very stoic.
He's a little less stoic at media days because he knows he's not going to hear like team-specific questions that he either can't or doesn't want to answer yet. But he got him to actually laugh. Like that was a genuine laugh. And we know Mike G. We know Mike G's not scared of the moment. And we know not Mike G is going to say or ask whatever he wants to ask. So shout out to Mike G for creating that moment at SEC Media Days, because we know nobody else is going to ask it. We know nobody else is going to ask that question. That's number one. Now, if you ask me, does Nick Saban miss Gus Malzahn? Who knows? I would tell you that Gus beat Nick Saban 3 times out of 4 at home, which, like you just said, right? Somehow we could beat Nick Saban in Alabama, but we could not beat LSU on the road in either year that we beat Nick Saban at home, 2017, 2019. And LSU was 19. That was a different year. Yeah. LSU was really good 2019. That's no shade on Gus right there. You can beat Saban, but you can't win the division. If you can't beat the best team in the division, if you can't win the division, then how are you beating the best team in the division consistently at home? So let's back it up. 2019, we won that game, but we lost 3 other games. We couldn't beat Florida. We couldn't beat LSU, which, again, no shame there. And who was the other team we lost to in 2019?
LSU, Florida.
It had to be Georgia, right? Because we never beat Georgia.
We lost to Georgia.
Yeah.
We lost to Georgia.
So, the consistency is what a lot of people will point to with Gus. That was the issue. Hugh Freeze did this for a minute, too. He beat Bama in back-to-back years. He beat them at home. Then he beat them the next year at their place. But you can't win the division?
Yeah.
What if you're good enough to beat the most talented team by a mile, but somehow you can't beat teams that are half as talented, or the same years? Florida wasn't a great team in 2019. They were a good team. Georgia wasn't a great team in 2019. They were a very good team, but they had issues all over the field. I mean, I think 2019 was the year that was that the year that Georgia got beat in a bowl game by like Texas or something? Was that year?
Ooh,
and everybody thought Texas was back. And then 2019 came and Joe Burrow and them went to town in Texas and tore them up. And then it turns out Texas went back.
I think you may be right. You may be right.
Yeah. So Georgia wasn't as good as Bama that year, but we couldn't beat Georgia. As a matter of fact, I remember we had this very, very terrible game against Georgia at home. It was a low-scoring game. I think Bo kind of put together a comeback towards the end, but at the end of the game, we needed Harold Joyner to catch a little short pass to convert, and he missed the pass, or I don't know, it didn't connect. I appreciate Gus being able to summon what he was able to summon for those home Iron Bowls. Why could he not reproduce that week after week after week? To me, winning the Iron Bowl means nothing if our season ends on the same day every year, and especially if we go on to lose our bowl game. If we don't win a game after we win an Iron Bowl, it was not a successful season. Yeah. It was not a successful season. If we're winning the Iron Bowl 2017, but we're getting blown out in the SEC championship game, that's not a successful season. If we're winning the Iron Bowl in 2019, but we get beat by double digits by Minnesota, that was not a successful season. And not beaten by Minnesota when we were short of Derrick Brown, the best defensive tackle to come through here in the last 20 years. No, our dogs stayed. Our dogs played. Those were the realest dogs we had. Him and Marlon Davis. And they said, no, we're going to play the bowl game. Still got beat handily. Defense had us boxed in. Their defense had us boxed in. To me, that's embarrassing. UCF beating us on the neutral field. That's embarrassing. So for whatever credit you want to give
them their only championship.
Yeah, they're the national champion. Whatever credit you want to give Gus Malzahn for the wins, and he does deserve it, because honestly, those were the best games he coached. The best games he coached were those Iron Bowls by far. I see why you believe that Gus Malzahn deserves to keep that job if you're only taking into account those Iron Bowl games. However, those are not the only games we played, man. Beating Alabama are not the only aspirations that we go into a season with. I know a lot of Bama fans would tell you that we are their Super Bowl. No. I could care less if we beat Alabama, but don't do anything else that year. I would rather be in a situation like Alabama was in 2017. I would rather win them all, lose to Alabama, and then find a way to get into a playoff and win a championship. I would prefer that. That
Mhm.
championship would mean more to me than an Iron Bowl I told you so every time I'm up in Birmingham seeing my folks. So would I think that Nick Saban misses Gus Malzahn? Yeah, because I think now he knows that the coach that's there, it's not that he's going to be, I don't think Bryan Harsin is only going to be a great coach against Nick Saban. I think whatever coach Bryan Harsin is going to be, he's going to be that coach week in and week out. Now,
Right.
that doesn't mean that he has the quirks or the genius that Gus possessed in Iron Bowls. That doesn't even mean he has that. I do think we'll be a consistent product on the field. I do think we'll be a tougher team. That toughness is something that we've heard from players and coaches alike. People watching the program who report, be mad. The strength and training is different. The attitude is different. I think we're improved top to bottom. Now, does that mean we're going to peak and save our best game for the Iron Bowl? I don't know. We'll see. I think we were a very uneven team last year, and the Bama game was the closest loss we had.
Yeah.
So maybe we are just going to play him extremely tough. What would be more impressive is if we won an Iron Bowl in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah.
Haven't done it since
the comeback.
Yeah. So that would be the notice. If we beat Georgia or Alabama at their spot, that's how you know this is a different program altogether. So, no, I don't think Nick Saban misses Gus because he knew even if he lost to Gus, that didn't necessarily kill his championship chances, and Gus wouldn't complete the deal with the rest of the conference to keep him out of contention. So,
fair point.
Yeah.
Fair point there. Yeah. So, anyways, good banter. Good banter. Definitely want to hear from you guys watching on replay. Does Saban really miss Gus? Let us know, guys. Let us know. Definitely for sure your thoughts about that. Guys, do us a favor. Share this video using hashtag Get Your Weight Up. Smash the like button, and please be sure to subscribe to our channel if you are new to our channel. Let's pause to acknowledge the sponsors of the War Report.
This edition of the War Report is made possible by our generous sponsors. AuburnSports.com. For news and notes on all things Auburn Sports, head over to AuburnSports.com. Athletic Architects. For young athletes looking to secure their financial future, let Athletic Architects help you to build your financial house. Head over to BuildTheHouse.com. And our giveaway sponsor, War Eagle Oil. War Eagle Oil is your #1 place for all of your motor oil and related products. For more information, visit wareagleoil.com.
Yes, we definitely want to thank our sponsors for helping us do what we do to provide you guys some of the best content out there on YouTube and in these internet streets. But we also want to thank you guys for supporting us as well, whether you're just watching or becoming a patron, which gives you access to some amazing content, guys. And we have done just that in the off season. And we promise to continue to bring you even better content once the season starts. $5.99 will get you there, guys. It gives you access to some exclusive film reviews. Watch the Film is kicking back up. And actually, Ike, he's promised that he's going to drop some Watch the Film footage soon. So be on the lookout for that, especially if you are a patron. That is still on the way. But you definitely want to get on board with us this upcoming season because we're going to be even bigger and better as we bring you content. Speaking of some content that's exclusive to our members, interview with Shed recently dropped. You can definitely go there right now and check that out. It's only available to those who are patrons and members of the War Report. Definitely want to check that out. Also, what is currently available is the conversation we had with kicker Evan McGuire. Yeah. That will drop for everyone tomorrow. So definitely be on the lookout for that if you aren't a member already. Guys, we're also giving away an AAU t-shirt brought to you, sponsored by War Eagle Oil. That's our guy, Walt, there. Definitely shouts out to him. Appreciate you, Walt. Drop hashtag Get Your Weight Up to enter to have an opportunity to win, but you have to be here at the hour mark when we give that away. Guys, we're on podcasts. So for those of you who have long commutes or you want to get it in on the treadmill and you want to listen to some of the War Report, the Auburn Express is your go-to for that. So definitely want to get on. We're actually dropping podcast exclusive type of content that we try to do during the week to give you some incentive. Definitely check us out. Get our numbers up as you get your weight up by supporting us at the Auburn Express.
For sure. And along those lines, we're actually going to have a B Will's Bum List debuting this week.
Hey.
Post SEC Media Days edition, running down every stupid, nonsensical thing that a coach said at SEC Media Days. So we won't go in quite like I usually do on Jimbo. You know, we're gonna save all the heavy hitting stuff for the season, but we will run down who's just talking out the side of their neck. Yeah, I ain't gonna get into it right now. We'll save it for the end. But be checking the Auburn Express podcast because that's the only place you're gonna get it. It's not gonna be on YouTube, so y'all subscribe to that. Check to automatically download because that helps us out a ton. And yeah, keep checking for the podcast, man.
Before we get into the next segment, let's take a word from our sponsor, Rogue Shop.
This episode of the War Report is brought to you in part by Rogue Shop. Looking to reduce stress or improve your quality of sleep? Rogue Shop has you covered with a wide range of premium products, including gummies, bath salts, and oils. Go to rogueshop.com and use code Rapport when you check out. That way, they know we sent you. All right?
All right, man. Let's get into it. Back into it. Let's pick up with. Let's talk about Lane Kiffin.
Mm-hmm.
Lane Kiffin made some pretty interesting comments about NIL, and B, I thought about you the moment he said this. This has B Will written all over it.
Mm-hmm.
He basically said it's like payroll in baseball. What we got going on. He's basically, his point was the rich will just get richer just because of their resources. And this is something you've been talking about extensively ever since NIL talk has really ramped up and got going. What were your thoughts about Lane Kiffin's comments about NIL and the fact that your schools like Texas A&M just going to continue to benefit off of their resources as it pertains to recruits?
You know, I don't know that it is an all deciding factor if you can pay some fantastic players to come to your school who would not have come to your school if you were not paying them through NIL. It will definitely make a difference. You're going to get better players in your program than would have come to your program otherwise if you can guarantee them $50,000 a year to play football and fulfill some minor obligations. Let's be clear. We're not talking, hey, you got to show up every day to this site and talk to fans and shake hands. We're talking, hey, this weekend we got a jersey signing thing come out. Hey, you got to do a meet and greet with fans. Hey, you got to sign some helmets. These types of things can happen now and you can make a lot of money. I don't know about you, C, but about 5 years ago, when I was still working in the public sector, I made $50,000 a year. And I'm going to tell you, I worked so hard for that $50,000 a year, man. And now these guys, you can just be an offensive lineman. Come to Texas and do what you would have done for no additional money, just scholarship and food and room and board. And you will now get an additional 50,000. It might be more than that. I'm saying 50,000. I thought I remembered seeing 50, but yes, this makes a significant difference. Now, the thing about top tier talent coming to your school, we covered the blue chip ratio information that was released by somebody who wrote for 24/7 Sports, and Texas was top 10 on that list already. Now that was counting this current signing class. Right. Texas had been recruiting good players before this first big NIL class 2022. Had Texas been good the last 3 years? No, because they had terrible coaches, very poor development. Tom Herman was not that guy. Charlie Strong was trying to make strides, but he lost to Kansas. I think Texas lost to Kansas, if I'm not mistaken. Didn't that happen last year? Did Texas lose to Kansas?
They dropped a lot of games.
They dropped a lot of games. You 5-7. If you're going to be recruiting top 10 blue chip ratio and go 5-7, not in the SEC, but in the Big 12, I'm going to say I'm not quite worried about what you're going to do.
They did lose to Kansas.
You lost to one of the worst Power 5 schools in existence. Kansas has been bottom 5 Power 5 school.
Embarrassing.
For at least the last 10 years. Who was that? The guy, they had a really heavy set coach that looked like an Italian guy.
Yeah.
In like 2008.
He ran a spread. He ran a spread offense.
Was it Mangino? Am I making that up? I can't remember his name.
Mangini? No, Mangino. Mangino, I think.
I can't remember that. If y'all
overweight
remember
guy,
in the comments, please tell us. And I think it was like Todd Reese was their quarterback one year, and he had a really good year. They won like 9 or 10 games. It has been more than 10 years since
Mark
Kansas. Mangino. There we go. More than 10 years since they've been good, and you lose to that team. Kansas is an embarrassing program, and for Texas to get a top 10 blue chip recruit ratio, for them to have all this pride in their football program and lose there, I don't think there is any better indicator that just talent does not do it. It is not just talent alone. It can't be just talent. You have to be able to do something when the talent gets on campus. Texas had been terrible. USC, similarly. They have just ramped up their recruiting because Lincoln Riley brings a lot of promise for offense and big expectations. USC was not recruiting terribly. They had been getting really good talent. Now, it wasn't what they're about to do because USC can take advantage of NIL as well because their alumni base has a lot of money. But yes, some schools are about to be recruiting crazy. Texas A&M jumped to the top at NIL. Texas, they got a 5-star transfer from Ohio State. And if we're going to do any judgment based on what happens when quarterbacks leave Ohio State, they probably have a good one. They got the heir apparent SEC royalty in Arch Manning, already committed. They've got O-lineman, the best O-line class they've ever signed, just signed in 2022. You have every reason to believe that the players they just got because of NIL are going to change the fortunes of their program. But wait a minute. If you are a bad staff, if you are a bad organizational program, you will not thrive. It is proven time and time again. Talent alone cannot do it. So, Lane Kiffin is right. Some people are going to be able to buy the best players. That does not mean that those people will automatically be contending. It doesn't mean that they're going to win at the highest level. I think Ohio State is really a disappointing program because they recruit better than Georgia. What have they done for the last 8 years? How are you going to out-recruit Georgia? Georgia's been in the playoff and won a game every time they get to the playoff. Ohio State, do you win a game every time you get to the playoff? Do you get to the playoff every other year? Close to it, but not really. And then they've got embarrassed a few times, including getting shut out by a team that recruits about 7-8 spots down from them. So it's not just talent. It's not going to be just talent. I don't know if I'm too shaken up about the people around us or around football getting better at recruiting, whether it's organic or not. And the reason that is because we play the 2 best teams in the country every year.
Right.
Every single year, we are going to line up against a dynasty that out-recruits everybody by a wide margin. And now with the transfer portal, they don't even have to worry about if they miss. They're just going to grab somebody else's top pick. Their running back last year was probably the worst running back I've seen at Alabama in Saban's tenure. And that doesn't mean he's a bad player. He was just the worst of all the Saban running backs I have seen there. He was the worst. You know what they did? They went and grabbed poor Georgia Tech's best player on offense, an all-world running back that Georgia Tech probably recruited for 2 years and scouted and developed and made him the center of the program. And then Alabama said, oh, we need a running back. Thanks, man. They can do that, and we're playing them every year. Georgia just put the best collection of defensive talent we've ever seen on a football team and won a national championship with them, and we play them every year. I am not scared of Steve Sarkisian 5-7 losing to Kansas with better recruits than us right now if we already have to play the two big dogs. If we are competing in the SEC with our current schedule, that means we had to be good enough to either beat or be very, very close to beating at least one or both of Alabama or Georgia. No way around it. If we can do that, why am I scared of Steve Sarkisian? Why am I scared of Jimbo Fisher, who's had better talent than us every year he's been there, but the best he could do is win, loss, win, loss, win, loss with us? Have you seen their roster? They haven't just kicked it up lately. They've been recruiting better than us since Jimbo got there. Yeah. Better recruits do not end the discussion on whether or not you're going to be good. Lane Kiffin acknowledges, though, and he brings up this point. It ties the hands of everybody on that second tier. So we know who's going to be great. USC is going to be great. Ohio State's going to be great. Alabama's going to be great. Georgia's going to be great. Texas A&M, either through NIL or you're already success on the field. Oklahoma's going to be really good. Brent Venables has a very good reputation for defense. Oklahoma has a very strong football tradition. They'll be good. It won't be just NIL. It'll be a combination of tradition, on-field success that Venables has had, and what that program football means to that institution. Clemson has developed that. Cristobal is going to be doing it now. Everybody's still, we're still going to have the same number of big dogs, maybe one or two more, but Auburn has always done more with less. So if we've got to get through LSU every other year because they're going to be good every other year, and Bama and Georgia, I don't understand how this is any less of a gauntlet for us. Now, right. If you are, somebody who doesn't have to play through these teams and you weren't battle tested and now you have to play against those teams, like I think Ohio State would be pissed that NIL is a thing, because now USC is just going to come in the side door and they can out recruit Ohio State going forward because they have more money to offer recruits than Ohio State. And they can put a very strong, more competition in that conference because, like I was saying earlier, the Big Ten isn't really that competitive. They've got some big names, but they haven't really been that competitive. USC with Lincoln Riley and LA Money changes that. NIL does change how quickly they grab the best wide receiver to ever be in the transfer portal, just committed to USC. They got their old quarterback from Oklahoma, that Lincoln Riley, and a new quarterback that's supposed to be all-world. And they got like an all-world quarterback committed for the 23 cycle. They're going to be competitive. That would scare me if I was Ohio State. If I was Michigan, I might not be able to get that number 2 spot in my conference anymore. If I was Penn State, I'd be terrified because I've already been underperforming. Somebody else is going to come in here with better recruits? Dang. Now I'm worried. But if I'm Auburn, what's different, man? You telling me it's gonna be a hard day? It's always a hard day. Right. It's like you get on the factory line, they're like, hey man, we got 3 trucks for y'all to unload. I unload 10 trucks a night. Just 3? Okay, cool. Let's bring it on. Let's do it. It's nothing new, man. But I appreciate Lane Kiffin for being honest and saying exactly how it is, because some people will try to make it seem like
legalized cheating.
It's legal. I mean, it is. It's legalized cheating as long as there are no other parameters to keep it under control. Maybe that happens soon. Maybe it happens by the time this realignment stuff happens.
I don't know, man. I mean,
you don't think so?
With states involved, I don't know how you wrestle that in a timely manner. That's all I'm saying. We'll just have to see. We'll just have to see. And I think here's the thing, B. I do think while I think it keeps your power schools, your big time programs, it keeps them at a very competitive advantage. It keeps them where they are. It's going to be tougher for them to slide knowing that, hey, we can get talent. But the problem is, B, last time I checked, you can only trot 11 guys out there on that field.
Right.
You can get an NIL deal. That's cool. Yep. But dudes are going to want to play at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And running right alongside this is the transfer portal, which you alluded to.
Mm-hmm.
I can say, you know what? Screw this. Were you at USC? Do you think USC is going to hang on to those 3 all-world QBs? Or is somebody going to be out of there?
Somebody will be. But, okay, somebody will be. What you have the luxury, if you're Lincoln Riley, of going, all right, I'm going to let 2 of you fight it out this year. And next year, let's say my 23 quarterback, I tell him he's going to redshirt. He'll be cool with that. I'll give you guys 1 year in this system. Caleb Williams and whoever the 22 signee was at USC. Next year, somebody's going to eat the other guy. And you will know that by year 2 of jostling with this guy for position, if you can't beat him this year, you're not going to beat him. And you will know that. You will know. One guy's going to be out. Now you're saying, oh, well, that guy is going to be able to go to another school and make him better. Yeah, but Lincoln Riley just got a chance to go in the shoe store and try on the brand new J's and say, I don't like them, and then just throw them out. That's what he got to do. Everybody else had to buy them on the sneakers app and hope that they fit right and that they wasn't scuffed, that didn't have no marks on them, and they got them. It's like, okay, this is exactly what I thought. They look good on my feet. They go good with the fit. I'm good. Yeah, but what if you miss on that guy, though? What if that guy isn't who you thought he was? It happens. It happens plenty. They thought they had a winner in Spencer Rattler at Oklahoma. Did they have a winner in Spencer Rattler? No. So it's completely possible that you could get the guy who is exactly as good as you think he is. And if he's as good as you think he is and the next guy is, then it's tough because you have to let one guy go. I brought this point up before. 2019, I think that's the year that Tua guy had some injury problems, right? Yeah. Jalen wanted to play for 1 more year, but he knew he wasn't going to start over Tua. So he decided to jump ship, go where he was going to actually play. You don't think they could have used a more mature senior Jalen Hurts when Tua was going through some injury problems? Maybe they win that game in Auburn if an inexperienced Mac Jones isn't who had to take the reins, because that made a big difference in that atmosphere. You are going to lose a guy who can help you win. And yes, it's unfortunate, especially if injuries happen, man. And that's really what it is. It's injury insurance, I think, more than anything, is what it allows these really big money schools to be. You don't have to worry about, man, we got the guy. Let's hope he doesn't go down. Oh, well, it's cool. If we go down, I got another all-world quarterback, defensive end, running back, linebacker, cornerback behind him. Like, I don't have to worry about it. Every guy's not going to hit. But just in case all my 5 stars don't round out, I got my transfer 5 stars in here, baby. Let's go, because I can pay them boys too. It's legalized cheating. And unfortunately, a lot of people are okay with it because college football has, to some extent, always been the rich getting richer and the rich eating the poor. It's that on steroids now.
Yeah. Before we get to the drawing, I definitely wanted to talk about tomorrow. Harsin takes the podium, 8:05 Central Time, 9:05 Eastern Time. We talk about, I heard conversation about what Harsin has to do to kind of stand out. I had a thought, that I think Harsin has already made the adjustments he's going to make outside of coaching football. I think he has been more visible at Auburn. He's shown up to basketball games. Yeah. He's been more accessible to his players. He's reached out. I think the adjustments as it pertains to getting acclimated to the culture of Auburn has been the adjustment for him. But I think in terms of media, I expect to see a similar Harsin that we saw a year ago. Because I don't think the adjustment he feels I don't think he owes it to the media to try to impress them, win them over. But there will be some tough questions, I assume, that'll be asked of him. And I think he'll handle it. I think he'll handle it well. But in terms of standing out, he didn't really stand out last year. Right. And I think his message is still the same. 1-0 mentality, building on the culture. And I think one of the biggest things he's going to preach is just the buy-in that he has with this team going into year 2. and his optimism from that. And I think the players are going to reflect that as well. But your thoughts on that?
I think you're right. And I would ask you, because you said you think he's done adjusting. Do you think that the short time from January when all this stuff went down till now is enough time to completely change that image and that impression of him?
What I think is going to change the image and impression is him winning games ultimately. But I think what we saw from beginning of this year to now is a light switch coming on for Harsin and saying, hey, this is a learning experience for me being here, where you gotta shake hands and kiss babies. You gotta show up for the Auburn basketball game. You gotta do, you know what I mean? And I think him getting the picture of what it means to be at Auburn, I think he's figured that out, or he's figuring that out. So to me, I'm not even sure if it's so much about optics as he is, hey, this is what I need to do in addition to instilling my culture.
Right.
And so I think that's really what it's about. I just don't expect to see a different Harsin from what we've seen when it comes to the media.
Right.
And I just don't think he has to prove anything to the media. I think what he needs to prove is a better record in 2022 and signs that we are trending up and not going backwards.
And that would be my next question to you. Is there anything to be gained at media days for him, or is it entirely the 2022 season?
I don't think there really is anything to be gained, because I think at the end of the day, they're going to vote. They're going to put Auburn where they think Auburn is going to finish. They already got their minds made up. It doesn't matter if he cracks jokes, if he talks about Saban, Kirby. I don't think any of that matters. I think what matters is when we take the field against Penn State, first big game of the season, what do we look like?
Yeah.
When LSU comes to town, what do we look like?
Mm-hmm.
When we go on the road against the defending national champions, what do we look like?
Mm-hmm.
That's what's going to either confirm or make people's bias against Harsin, or is going to make people say, you know what? I think he just needed some time.
Mm-hmm.
I think he may be figuring something out. And so I think ultimately the field is going to matter, because this is such an important year for Harsin, in my opinion.
Right.
But I think in terms of what he does tomorrow, Harsin is a professional. He knows how to handle those. He's had months to think about, and I think you may have alluded to it, or someone alluded to it on Sunday. He's had months to think about these questions.
Right.
And so I think he'll handle them no problem at all. But I don't expect him to stand out. Because you got to remember, the last person to take the podium is going to be your friend, Jimothy. Everyone's going to want to hear what he has to say. So I just don't think – I think Harsin actually gets an opportunity to an extent fly under the radar. People are alluding that he's on the hot seat when they speak about him, given what's happened. But I just think that he just has to hold serve. Talk about his vision for the program, the buy-in, and the enthusiasm and optimism for the upcoming season. Get out of there.
Yeah, and I agree. I don't think there's much to be gained outside of reiterating that you are building something, and your tenor and your tone has to relay a seriousness, because you have to know that I am here to work. Like, it's serious. It's not I'm smiling, because I'm supposed to be personable and affable up here, but it's serious, man. Football serious business down here. I know exactly how serious it is to the fans of this team and this institution. So I'm not going to take it lightly, but at the same time, he has to create a balancing act. And I think he's done it with what we've seen of him, us talking to him this offseason with building rapport. He has found a way to come across as more personable while still talking business. So I expect to see that new version of him on display for the first time to a lot of people. Because, I couldn't tell you that I've heard anything that Drinkowitz said this offseason before media days.
Right.
I couldn't tell you that I heard anything that Clark Lee said before media days. This is my first time hearing from these coaches too, and or even Beamer. So, all of these guys, this is my first time seeing them. You get an impression of them. So it's nice to get an impression of him. I don't know how much that helps. Like me, I'm an Auburn fan. What does seeing Napier do for me? Nothing. So I don't know what him being on display to fans of other teams doesn't do much. I don't even think it does much for recruiting because ultimately he's already talking to these guys. He's making these impressions on those parents and those recruits. So there's not much to be gained. I'm with you. It's more about how do we look on the field when we hit that real competition, man. How does this offense look? Because now you have more to do with it. You got your guy who is the offensive coordinator, and I don't even know if this. Wait, is Harsin going to call plays still?
I think Keesau's going to do it.
Okay, Keesau's going to call him. Okay,
I think Keesau.
He's going to have more to do with this offense than he did last year. So now the entirety of the offense, which has been the reason we've struggled here the last few years, is going to be on him. So I think there will be very little doubt that if there is improvement, it belongs to Harsin. So that's where he's got to show it, and media day is just a formality.
I agree. We'll definitely see what happens on tomorrow, and we'll definitely swing back around this upcoming weekend to talk about that when all the fellas return. So you definitely want to tune in for that. But now, guys, it's time. It's time for the giveaway. We're giving away an AU t-shirt courtesy of War Eagle Oil. Guys, we don't waste time anymore. So if you want to get in and enter to win, that's the hashtag. Get your spelling up, get your weight up, and get your time up because we about to draw right now.
Right now, 59 entries. We are spinning the wheel. Let's go. Let's see who we got. Who is going to win it?
80.
What is up, my boy?
Congratulations. And I just saw him entered in the get your weight up. So let's let us know if you're here. We're gonna wait around for you, but until we wait, we're gonna take a word from one of our sponsors, that is Chill Boys.
Treat your boys. Chill Boys underwear is designed for maximum comfort with enough space to keep you cool, calm, and comfortable. Chill Boys underwear will help you keep the boys close, not too close. When the game is on the line, you won't break a sweat with Chill Boys underwear. Whether it's left boy, right boy, or both boys, Chill Boys provides your boys comfort like you never felt. Maximize your chill with Chill Boys.
He says, throw it back. He's already won.
All right. I pressed that
He
button
didn't
a
waste
little bit
no
early.
time.
No, I didn't realize. Brent
Connor.
Where you
Brent
at, Brent?
Connor.
Hopefully he's still in here.
Brent, let us know, are you here? B. Will, do me a favor, good sir.
What is that?
Be on the lookout for Brent if he drops in. I'm gonna be handling some stuff right here.
All right, I got you.
Let's get to the questions, guys. If you have a question for us, please be sure to drop it now. If you haven't already, we've been collecting some over the course of this live stream, so we're about to get to those now. But if you do want to enter in, now's a good time for you to do just that. Getting into the questions. Philip Coleman says this would be a perfect time for B Will's bum list. You kind of already said when that's coming up, but
yeah, man, we're gonna drop that Friday afternoon or Saturday morning, depending on how much content I get from what goes on tomorrow. I'm expecting Jimbo to give me something, Jimbo, he's got a guy who was supposed to be repping him tomorrow for SEC Media Days, and he got arrested yesterday or today. I don't know. I mean, institutional control. There's something to be said for leadership. Or one of my favorite lines from Remember the Titans: attitude reflect leadership, Captain. So yeah, I'm not so sure about Jimbo and his management of that talent there, but
you got plenty of time.
We got
plenty of time to throw shade. Speaking of lists and things that you do, are you doing your segment this year?
Ben with B Will is going to come back. What it's going to look like is going to be a pod only segment that we drop either Friday or Saturday because the lines change so much. A lot changes during the week with football. That's one of the reasons we saved it for Saturday before Friday, or either Friday or Saturday, but it's going to be audio only because we want to make sure that we're providing some value over there on the podcast channel, so you guys can check that out. It's going to be more focused this year because last year we were so overwhelmed with how much work it was taking to do all this football content during the season that it got drowned out. We went from video to just doing it on Twitter to just falling off. Busy, but we will not do that this year. It's going to be consistent. It's going to be either Friday or Saturday on podcast, so be checking out for it.
Brent Connor says, "Oh, I finally won something."
Indeed, you did.
Yes, you did, sir. And because you won something, we need you to do us a favor. We need you to email us business@thewar.report. We need your physical address as well as your shirt size. Congratulations, Brent.
Congrats, man.
Please be sure to send us that email and we will ship that right on to you, good sir. Congratulations. All right. Thomas asks, in your opinion, how many commits you think Auburn will have by the first game? I'll go first. I think we'll have about 7. I'm thinking that 6 or 7. I'm thinking we'll have about 2-3 commits by Big Cat. So that puts us around that 6-7 range. I'm not sure if we have any commits in the month of August, but I'm thinking by the time we play, I'm thinking maybe I'll go with 7. What you think, B?
I'm going to say 8. I'm with you on the 2 or 3 commits we get at, the Big Cat. And some guys usually like to announce in August before their season starts, some senior guys. So I think there's going to be a rash of commitments in that time frame where we snag another one. So I say 8. I'm going to say 8.
Okay. All right. Donnell says, how does Harsin handle the questions coming about the off-season garbage drama in February when he speaks? Kind of talked about it. I mean, I think he's going to really just focus on the guys in that locker room. And I think he's going to talk about what those guys did during all of this and that their focus is on those guys getting better. I think he's just going to stay on message. He really wasn't up for addressing this when it was happening. So now that it's behind him, he's trying to focus and gear up for the season.
Yeah.
So I think he's just going to stay on message about what their goals are, those kids in the locker room, the buy-in. And if you've been listening to our interviews, guys, we have amazing interviews that we put out over the offseason. We've talked to a lot of guys. A lot of these kids are starting to sound like Harsin, which speaks volumes about the buy-in that has been taking place. So I think he's going to stay on message. What do you think, B?
I'm with you. He's going to stay on message if it comes up, which it definitely will. I think he'll say, I'm here to do a job. I was hired to do a job. I'm here to do that job. Got the support of the AD, and we're here to reform and to remake Auburn football. And we've been doing that. And he's going to talk about what he's done. He's going to talk about the staff he's added. He's going to talk about the hire away from the Dallas Cowboys, the wide receiver coach away from the Pittsburgh Steelers. And he's going to advertise the staff development that he's implemented. And I think it's going to be amazing, an amazing reason and way to go ahead and get people focused on what he is doing and not what happened 6-7 months ago. And that's what I expect from Harsin, because he's a no nonsense kind of guy. So there's nothing to be gained by hashing up too many details about what happened. It's public knowledge now. You read the ESPN articles, you read the statements by the school, you see that Harsin got retained, you see the changes he's made, the momentum we picked up with the buy-in from the players. And if you do not watch any more of the War Report content outside of these lives, or maybe you're listening on podcast, I implore you, go to the War Report's homepage on YouTube and look for Building Rapport. There's a playlist for it. All it is us interviewing people that are relevant to Auburn football. We have pretty much every significant player for this season. We are talking to them. We're asking them how they feel this year. We're asking them how they've improved. That goes for each one of the quarterbacks that are in contention, Robbie Ashford, TJ Finley, Zach Calzada. We're talking to Bryan Harsin and breaking down film with him, asking him what he expects from that position, what from all his players, but also the quarterback position, from the wide receivers to talk about how they're changing, they're getting better, the scheme. You will have a very good idea of what it's like in that building and on that team if you go and listen to that interview series. And I think that he has a very good chance. I think the team is sold. And like we talked about earlier, I think the only way he can sell everybody, the entire Auburn family, is on the field this season. But if somebody tries to hash up this old stuff, he's going to point to what has changed positively, because I think there has been positive change.
Yeah.
And he's going to keep it there. He's going to keep it right there on message, stay focused about what's coming up this season.
And throughout all the craziness, I think he's going to emphasize the stability within his program, because he has his assistants, his coordinators are guys who've coordinated under him before. So he's going to talk about Keesau's ability. He's going to talk about Schmedding's ability and his opportunity to shine. So I think he's going to really speak highly of them and just talk about the things that did go well. So definitely, I think that's what we'll expect. I'll be surprised if it doesn't go that way, but we will definitely see tomorrow.
And low-key, when you hire a guy, two guys from the NFL, Ike Hilliard and Drew Beyond. I don't want to get it wrong and mess it up. So Drew B. What does it look like if you feel like you've made strides and you are a tougher team, you are more competitive in more games, but your record's still like 7-5? What better way to ensure, like, y'all aren't going to get rid of me? I got the NFL guys in here. I got the Dallas Cowboys scout in here. You gonna get rid of me? You gonna flush it all out? Okay, of course you're not, because the guys who have the most cachet on his staff are not the guys in line to be the assistant head coaches that get bumped up. They are not. It's not like a situation where most schools, hey, Kirby Smart's the defensive coordinator at Alabama, so if something happened to Nick Saban, what do? You bump him up. Where the next guy is the guy who everybody would want to be the head coach, like they were trying to do with Kevin Steele. That's not the situation. What you got is guys who are pretty new to the SEC, but Harsin likes them and trusts them. And what you have all around are more accomplished football minds and coaches than we have ever had at Auburn, maybe ever, as far as them and their professional experience being combined with their football experience. So what he's done, usually it's a recruiting class that saves a coach's bacon. If he can say, well, you can't get rid of me because I got the number 5 recruiting class already. I got the second best quarterback coming in and the best defensive end coming in. Because if you fire me, they're gonna go away. Well, you know what? He doesn't have that at this moment. But what he does have is probably the best development staff, at least of the last 12 years. At least of the last 12 years. So I think that has been a win. I expect him to toot his own horn at least a little bit in that way, because if there's anything that can turn the heads of a recruit, it's NFL guys on your staff.
Agreed. And it's Fabianic.
Yeah.
Fabianic. I remember saying it a week ago. Fabianic.
Okay.
Javion says, any update on the QB battle? I don't have any updates.
I don't think we'll actually hear anything until they've all been working on their own since spring. They've been doing some throwing with wide receivers on the team. I've seen videos, and our account has retweeted it on Twitter, of Calzada throwing routes to Tank, throwing routes to Shed. I don't know that means anything at this point. All we know is
they're working hard.
All we know is they're working hard. So, and we'll be able to get a better sense of what's going on with that battle once camp starts. The first scrimmage, usually they kind of have a pecking order because they give some guy the first reps.
Right.
But after that second scrimmage is usually when things start to turn around, because second scrimmage is when they take what y'all did in the first one and they say, all right, well, you look good. You looked okay. So you look better than I thought. Why don't we give you some first team reps? And if you can hold up there, then they start inching you towards the front.
Right. So what's interesting to note is not necessarily who the pecking order for the first scrimmage, but how well they did.
Right.
Then what you need to look for coming after that performance is who starts the second scrimmage.
Right.
As a result of the first scrimmage. That'll give you a lot of clues as to what the coaches are leaning and who's pushing who in that race. So
Exactly.
we'll definitely be there to talk about all of that. Mad Barber says, if we beat Georgia or Bama in their houses, I'm going to be insufferable at work.
Man,
you and me both.
So no matter what, I will be working from home because I'm either going to be doing a job that's completely remote or working for the War Report full time at that time.
Mm-hmm.
But I might be insufferable too. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna find somebody to get on their nerves. And oh man, I don't want to say what that would make me.
I think Auburn Twitter is going to be. I think we can just jump on Auburn Twitter and just enjoy that. I think Auburn it'll be a great day for Auburn Twitter as well.
I don't want to get hyped up. It would be too good a day. It would be like almost basketball season Auburn Twitter good if we were to beat Bama or Georgia at their place.
It's probably going to be better, B.
Oh my!
I think it's going to be better. No offense to Auburn Twitter during basketball season, but this is going to be amazing if that were to happen. Kim Jolie says, any news on the recruiting trail? Any sleepers? What have you heard anything, B?
Based on what I'm seeing on auburnsports.com, that's our affiliate. They supply a lot of intel on recruiting. B-Matt just joined us a few weeks ago. He let us know early that things were turning with Kedrick Falk's recruitment, and he did end up committing to Florida State. Based on what he said, and if you read the other message boards and content providers, the battles that we are losing right now, not all of them are permanent. We seem to be in a wait and see mode, or the recruits seem to be in a wait and see mode for Auburn. A lot of people are courting them already, and people are putting, not only are they putting good plans and presentations together, but they are also putting some NIL money together for these guys. We are apparently bolstering our NIL offerings with the collectives, what they're called, what they're offered. That has to get cohesive. And, ultimately, Lane Kiffin said it. You got to have a really rich alum base, really rich boosters, and you can do it. Well, if you don't have a town full of boosters like Austin, Texas does for the University of Texas, what you can have is a really stout collective that shows recruits, here's how money gets to your pocket. That's going to become more clear in the coming months. The success on the field will do a lot of talking in the coming months. And I think things will look better if we are as competitive as these interviews lead me to believe we will be. So I'm not down. I can't say that there are some sleepers, some targets I think that they're starting to narrow in on that they weren't narrowed in on maybe a couple of months ago. Some guys who are set to commit in the next couple of months, and then they're kind of up in the stakes with those guys a little bit. So, I think we said Big Cat, we get a few, in the 23 class, and then in August, I think we get another one or two. It may be some that whose names we haven't heard up to this point, but a lot to be seen, and nothing's guaranteed recruiting at all. Even guys, when they commit to you or when they commit to somebody else, you gotta wait till they put pen on paper, and even then, with the transfer portal, nothing's still recruited. So I'm probably not going to get too riled up about recruiting until like next April. Just make sure we signed everybody we thought we were going to get, and nobody left. But that's what we know. That's what I know on recruiting right now. Nothing that's not already out there.
Gotcha. Appreciate that. Thomas Jones, we appreciate the super sticker. And I found your question. Notre Dame Notre Dame will not sniff the playoffs if they join the Big Ten. They don't like competition. They will stay independent or join the ACC. Easier road to the playoffs. Thoughts about that?
I don't know if just getting in the playoff does anything with Notre Dame. They've been in the playoff, twice? They got some curb stomped both times, right?
Yeah. And we'll probably get curb stomped if they join the Big Ten, which is probably Thomas's point there. So
yeah, they would. But no,
they got curb stomped in ACC.
I don't know if any longer, with the natural limitations in place for Notre Dame, and those are that they are a little more scrupulous than other major programs about admission and academics. Very slightly more scrupulous. They're a little more honest about that. So with those limitations, I don't think that they have much of a chance to compete regardless. Honestly, I don't expect Notre Dame to get in a playoff and win one game in the next 10 years. They'll get in. Yeah.
I don't know. But listen, I don't know what kind of Notre Dame we're going to see. Let's keep that in mind.
That's true. They got a new coach.
They got a new coach. I don't know what this team is going to look like. I don't know if this is a good hire. Time will tell. They may get better, but as of now, they are a huge question mark.
Right.
They could slip into oblivion for all I care. Yeah. So, Corey, I didn't say this one, but Corey says texted Mike G and told him he looks swole on TV. Hey, Corey, let me leave you on a secret. He's just fat. Now, let's go over to Sherman.
Mike G, hope you're watching. We clowning you.
Hope you watching, fat. Mike. We own you, bro.
You fat.
That's my guy. Shout out to Mike G on TV on the tube. Sherman Sawyer says, will Ike do the Boise State versus Florida State watch the film to see Harsin's offense? You know, I'm gonna talk to Ike about this one because I mentioned this on the show, and the reason why I want him to do that one is because Keesaw was the OC that year.
Yes. Okay.
So the reason why I'm interested in this one is because we really do get a look at what this offense could look like because Harsin and Keesaw are featured in that video calling the offense. That's what we can expect to see upcoming season. So I'm gonna put the bug in Ike's ear, Sherman, definitely, because that was an amazing. The film on that game was amazing from an offensive standpoint, and I was very impressed with the QB play in terms of the QB's toughness in the pocket, and that's obviously something that Harsin wants to build here at Auburn. So, definitely we'll put the bug in Ike's ear for that. Now, let's get to one of the best challenges out there. Before I do that, let me clear this.
Yeah. Welcome to another Jazzy Challenge.
Jazzy wants us to guess, where is he for 100? 50 for all the states that borders it. Our percentage chances of getting this is kind of low. We're a little short-staffed.
Yeah, you know.
Where was he? He was in Wyoming?
Last time? No, it was... Oh, I forgot.
I think it was Wyoming.
Was it Wyoming?
It was somewhere.
I just know I got it wrong, so I stopped listening.
Okay. Yes, Wyoming.
All right. So he said bonjour. I'm feeling like that's a hint. But also, the only state I know that has any French ties is Louisiana. And they aren't bordering that many states to give us a good chance at 50. But I'm going to go...
Why don't you go to Texas?
That touches Louisiana, doesn't it? Texas.
There you go. So I won't say Oklahoma.
Okay. What you gonna say?
I don't know.
You gotta say something.
I'm gonna go Kansas.
Oh, okay. I see what you did.
I'm gonna go Kansas.
So I got Texas. You got Kansas. Tell us what's up, Jazzy. How bad did we do?
I think we did bad, but we'll see. Lawrence says Anaya Smith got arrested last night. Get Jimbo B. Wiz. Kind of already got him, but any more smoke you got for old Jimothy?
Nah, man. I mean, I don't know what can be gleaned from what Jimbo has done to this point in the SEC that says, oh man, I am afraid of them getting all this talent. I don't know what he's gonna do with that talent. Can he luck up and put it all together? Sure. He did it one time in Florida State, and it was an amazing team of talent. The talent on the team that won the national championship was significant. Lots of pros in there. Lots of living off the legacy of the great Bobby Bowden, RIP. But I mean, that's what it took. You took the draw of a legend with a program that he built, and he was there recruiting those guys who were juniors and seniors on that team. So since then, You know, I mean, okay, all right, we'll see.
We will see. We will definitely see. Got a question here from Erica. She asked, which QB has the best chance to start this season? Is it TJ's job to lose?
I don't think so. If you
I
buy
don't
what
think it
Harsin
is either.
says about competition, then nothing is handed anyway. And in addition to that, it's not like TJ Finley was 2013 Nick Marshall coming back. He hadn't secured his spot beyond
He's
a
not
shadow of a doubt.
2021 Bo Nix coming back.
No, he wasn't.
Like there's talent in that QB room now.
Right.
You got to show and prove. So I don't think it's anyone's job to lose at this point. It's your job to win. Like you have to win. You have to perform. And again, why I'm so excited about this upcoming fall camp is we actually have a backup we could go to.
Right. So we're gonna see. I mean, I am hoping that Robbie Ashford gets a look. That's all I want. I'm not saying he's definitely got to be the guy no matter what the other.
I want it to be a 3-man race. Now that the coaches are going to have to trim it to 2, obviously. Right. But I do want it to start off as a 3-man race. But we will definitely see how that looks going into the first scrimmage. Definitely. Like, if Robbie's going to make some noise, I think he's got to show something by the first scrimmage. What do you think, B?
Yeah, I think it needs to be. Well, it depends on what they give him the first scrimmage. What if it's TJ and Calzada, and they give them similar packages because they have similar skill sets, and they give Robbie kind of some third team reps. But let's say one or either one of them, Calzada or TJ Finley, has a bad first scrimmage, and then they say, all right, well, we'll give Robbie the second team reps. You're going to get the second crack at this and go back and forth with whoever had the best showing in the first scrimmage. That's his chance. That realistically, that's his chance. I don't think they are going to call a different game plan. I don't think that's what Harsin wants to do. I don't think he's going to have, all right, let's call the fast running quarterback plays. I think he wants guys to quarterback. The skill of quarterbacking is what he wants our quarterbacks to have. And so he's not going to call drastically different games for them. But you've got two very experienced guys ahead of him, and that's really the problem for Robbie. Is these two guys have played in this league, you have not. So TJ's been in the playbook, he's been in the system, you have not. Calzada's at least been on the field down here, he's won some big games, you have not. So they're going to get the first bite at the apple, and that's okay, because just be ready when it's your time.
Indeed. Appreciate that question, Erica. AU and in the USMC, what do you think the realignment does to schools like UAB, Liberty, Coastal Carolina, etc.? I think it gives them an opportunity, perhaps, to maybe join one of these other bigger conferences that's struggling. I don't know. I'm not sure about Liberty. I think Liberty more so than UAB and Coastal Carolina.
Yeah, maybe. UAB just lost Bill Clark, so I think that's
why I'm looking at Liberty and assuming Freeze is there past next year.
Yeah,
maybe nothing.
Right, it might not mean
maybe nothing. It may not mean anything. I don't know if these schools are going to look like another year or two from now.
Yeah. So
Liberty is a Hugh Freeze hire to a big school away from fading back into obscurity.
Right. And that's the thing with any of these schools, honestly. You are usually a head coach that has you on the rise. So as soon as that head coach makes a move, you're back to being what you were before, which is a middling group of 5 team that's just waiting for the next up-and-coming coach to take the reins and make you relevant for a very short amount of time. Memphis is, I thought, what's this guy's name who's coaching at Florida State right now? Down there stinking it up.
Let me look it up.
Whatever that guy's name is, he came from Memphis. Memphis was actually a moderately competitive program while he was there. I thought it was him. Turns out it was Memphis.
Mike Norvell.
Yeah. Because Memphis was actually pretty competitive last year for their conference and their division. Yeah, but if you can stay competitive there, then I'm going to say, you know what? Maybe it's the school. The school has the proper resources for you to be reasonably competitive as a program. So I thought it was Norvell. I honestly expected them to be better than they have.
I thought he was going to be better than what he was.
Yeah. So
I thought he was going to take some time and start figuring it out. But man, when you lose to Jacksonville State,
yeah, man, that's pretty embarrassing.
I don't know if you got it, buddy. Sherman Sawyer says, "Is the ACC on life support?"
Might be a Clemson away. They are a Clemson away.
I don't think they're on life support yet.
They're close.
Pac-12 is on life support.
No, they got that iron lung on. It's just a matter of when.
Yeah, they're on. That's life support. Now, ACC is not in a good position, but life support, I wouldn't go that far just yet with ACC. Now, someone poached Clemson. Yeah, declare time of death.
Yeah,
so they're done. Javion asks, who y'all got finishing the season as Auburn's QB? I don't know. I don't know.
See, I'm a modify Javion's question. Who starts against Penn State?
So whoever starts that game will finish the season.
That's assuming they play well. But okay, better question. The next week it's LSU or is it Missouri?
Is Missouri. Who starts against LSU?
That's who finishes the season.
Who starts against LSU?
Barring injury. That means this is the person who won camp and had 2 great games against the cupcake teams and at least held their own.
Who showed improve against Penn State? Yeah. Who earned the coach's trust after Penn State?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I can't say. I can't call it. And that's just because I don't want to rule out. If you ask me if it was between just Calzada and TJ Finley, let's say Robbie Ashford is not in this quarterback.
Yeah, role. I can't say right now.
Yeah, I can't say.
Listen, let's hang on to this question though.
Yeah.
This is a good question, Javion. I like this question. Sure. I want to revisit this one though. I want to revisit this one once we're a good bit through fall camp, especially when we start doing predictions and stuff.
Yeah,
this will definitely be one to keep. I think it's too early for me to say who's going to, because I have no earthly clue right now. But that's a great question. Reggie says, can Harsin afford to be below 500 by game 6?
Oh, no.
If Harsin is below 500 by game 6, he's getting fired.
Well, okay. There is a world.
There is.
There is a world where, okay, so what that means by game 6, that means that you beat your 2 cupcake teams. You lose to the next 3 teams. That means you lost to Penn State, you lost to Missouri, you lost to LSU. All right, so you are
2-3,
2-3, and 0-2 in conference, right? Now, I'm assuming that whatever has not been working will change and slowly get better. And I see this from time to time, man. Sometimes teams just take a minute to figure it out. Now, usually it's too late. It's too late to make any noise in the postseason. But it doesn't mean that you can't improve and get better as a team from week to week. That's true. If that can happen, then you can end up scaring the hell out of some teams, ruining somebody's season by winning really big. Because let's say we go into week 6, 2-3. What does beating Georgia do?
Flip college football on its head.
Because you can't fake. Losing to Missouri would be a fluke because of the talent that we have versus the talent that they have. You can't beat Georgia the Prayer and Jordan here. That was a fluke. You cannot beat Georgia the way football usually works at Georgia, and that be a fluke. Not with that talent. Not even with the talent that they have returning. They lost a lot. They kept a lot too. They got experience coming back. Guys who didn't start, and some guys who did. And they still had more talent than us by a wide margin, going again, the blue chip recruit ratio. You could do some losing that you shouldn't do and also do some winning that people don't think you have any business doing as well. And I think that can change the prospects and the profile of your program. But it would take that. It would take beating Alabama at Alabama or beating Georgia at Georgia to undo of a 2 and 3 start. It would absolutely take that. And it's not beyond the realm of possibility, man.
I'll just put it this way: if you lose to Missouri, that's South Carolina all over again.
It's terrible. It is.
That is South Carolina all over again.
It is
at home.
Yeah, it is.
That's not good.
It's not good. It's not.
That's not good.
Yeah.
It could happen. You could turn it around. I mean, again, we could turn it around, but I'm telling you, that's going to be bad.
Yeah, I agree.
Very bad.
I agree.
His coaching status will be on life support if he loses that game to Missouri. Yeah. Roy Strong says, in our most competitive years, we were bottom or out of the top 25 to start the season. Do you think we follow that trend this year and finish top 10?
Well, we were out of the top 25 to start last season, so
yeah.
So that didn't end up well.
I don't think we're. I mean, if you're talking a top 10, that means we went 9. We've gone 9-3 at least.
Right. With our schedule, we've lost. We can lose 4 games and still be top 10 with our schedule. Yes, maybe. It depends on somebody.
I'm thinking top 15.
Okay, that's fair.
I'm thinking because you got to consider how far we're coming. Like we're coming from out of the top 25.
Right. That's true.
So it's not like we started high. So I'm thinking if we're 8-4, you're looking at a top 15, at the worst top 20, considering what they think about us. But top 10, I would love to see it.
9-3. 9-3. It's not 9-3.
That's not impossible. It's not impossible.
No.
But 9-3, we're in top 10 because that means we've beat at least 2 teams we had no business beating this year.
Right.
Which will definitely, because we were on our way. We were right outside the top 10 right before we collapsed. Because after we beat Arkansas, beat Ole Miss, we were right outside the top 10. So if you finish strong, yeah, you could absolutely, you'll be in the top 10 by the time you face Bama for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
agree.
It's possible. I'm thinking top 15 though. At the least.
I can see it.
I'm thinking top 15 at the least.
I can see
top
that.
20. No, top 20 at the worst. Top 20 at the worst. I'm gonna go top 20.
Okay, I'm with you.
Top 20 at the worst. But good question. Jazzy says, he was talking to Gabrielle. They did not check the Twitter. I can't check. Usually while we're talking, Mike G is checking Twitter. It's just me
Jazzy,
and B.
how we have been working with contiguous United States. How you gonna flip the script on? It's all right, man. We appreciate everything you do. Thank you for contributing. You can throw us a curveball here and there, it's fine. But keep it in the US. Cheating.
Yeah.
Jazzy, cheat. This game cheating. Turn off the PlayStation.
Yeah.
Throw the controller down.
One more before we get out of here. James Barnett asks, fellas, if we go 10-2, what's the more likely scenario? We beat Bama or Georgia and lose a game we shouldn't, or we lose both Bama and Georgia and win the... Ooh, good question.
I think it's the latter. We would have to beat everybody else but Bama and Georgia. I have a really hard time. If we're good enough to win double-digit games, I think we get one of those guys. If we are that good, and we might not be that good. We might not be good enough to beat the teams who are clearly more talented than us by a wide margin. Not this year. I know, hey, that's not the only indicator. It's not the only indicator, but it has a lot to do with Bama's QB situation being settled and experienced and continuity with their offensive coordinator. They got a lot good going for them. They got a more talented running back. They got a lot for us to overcome this year at playing them in Tuscaloosa. So I think it's going to be a taller task this year than it would be to beat them at home last year. If we are good enough to win 10 games, that means we beat Arkansas. We beat Ole Miss. That means we beat, of course, LSU, Texas A&M. If we can beat all those teams, and I don't think any of those teams are unbeatable, though. I don't think any of those teams are going to be elite this year. So I just got to go with history and where the talent is, because we can be a very disciplined team. We can be a very well-organized team, a much improved team, and still not have the horses to outplay Bama and Georgia at home with that boost they get from their home crowd. So I think it's more likely if we win double-digit games that we lose to Bama and Georgia, if that's the case.
I think it'll be the latter scenario. But here's what I want to see. I actually want to see us close the gap in terms of the margin of victory between our opponents.
Yeah.
Because in the past, not only do we go to Athens and Tuscaloosa and lose, we've been losing big.
Yes.
So not that I'm interested in moral victories.
Right.
But I think a huge thing to note is just like how we were 3-1 against Nick Saban at home, but the average score was 30-29.
Right.
I want to see us close that gap.
Yeah.
I want to see Bama have to work to beat us at home like they have to work to beat us on the road.
Right.
And to me, that gives me confidence about where we're heading, because we have not done that over the past several years. Like it's taken a Cam Newton type of effort to win at Bama.
Right.
It took a Brandon Cox almost like last play of the game nearly to get us down to kick a field goal to beat Georgia. That's the last time we did it.
Right.
If we begin to show that they got to bring their A game to beat us at home, that's in year 2 of the Harsin era. I can live with that if we lose to both of those teams.
Right. Yeah.
So
okay.
I think that may be the likely scenario. But anyway, you got anything else, B, before we get out of here anymore?
Yeah, man. My namesake showed up, B Will's forehead looking particularly shiny. Well, thank you. I've been shining it with forehead face skin oil all day, all natural, just what comes out of my skin, showing under this ring light. Blah. Appreciate you, B Will's forehead.
Really wonder who that is for sure. Anyways, guys, we appreciate you hanging out with us, man. Shout out again to auburnsports.com for sponsoring today's live show. Guys, you already know what to do, man. We got some great content coming your way, man. This season, we got some troll-free comment sections during halftime as well as post-game this upcoming season, so we can all come in here and celebrate together after an Auburn win, or come in here and really cry together. Either way, we'll do that together as a family. $5.99 to get you there as a patron level, and watch the film Returns. All right. So definitely want to do that, guys. Also, it's always cool to have a black name, but it's always better to have a green name. So definitely become a patron with the War Rapport. Just a reminder, guys, what's currently going live this week, the interview with Shed Jackson, wide receiver, talks about wide receiver core, the expectations this year. Definitely a great interview conversation with him. What will go live tomorrow for everybody, not just members, is Evan McGuire, the kicker.
Right.
Definitely want to check that out, guys. Also, check us out on podcast, the Auburn Express. Want to mention anything about that, B?
You know what? This conversation, the first part of our show, will be up on podcast early in the morning. You can get that on your way to work. If you want to take a jog in the morning with it, you want to listen to it on your lunch break. Working hard on this, man. Working really hard on it. We got some stuff that is pod only coming to you guys. So there are going to be certain conversations. For instance, if we do a Bet and B Will segment, like we got that planned. B Will's Bum List coming to you this weekend. courtesy of the pod only, and coming by way of a special sponsor. We will announce that later as well. So you really want to get on board with this. We're going to put more stuff on there that you guys are definitely going to want to hear. So please tune in, find it on your podcast service, wherever you listen at, and make sure you click automatic download. Auto download is great for us. So I know it takes up some room in your phone. Please do that for us. It helps us out a lot. More coming. Thank you for listening.
Also, guys, we partner with the Lee County Humane Society, guys. Please help us in our cause, guys. Put a little bit of good back into the world. Help us save the puppies, save the pet. Definitely go out and support us, guys, on our GoFundMe there. We greatly appreciate that. Also, we definitely want to shout out again, auburnsports.com. We appreciate you guys for definitely being a sponsor of the War Rapport. Shout out to Rogue Shop. Use code Rapport to get 10% off. Let them know that we sent you so you can help get your gummies, chill out, relax. Definitely do that. Also, before we get out of here, guys, don't forget, I know it's the off season and we're talking football, but Virginia double dribble. Don't ever forget that. We will always remember that. And guys, definitely do us a favor. Share this video using hashtag Get Your Weight Up. Also, smash that like button. Don't be out here just lurking, guys. Smash the like button. Help us with our engagement. If you're new to the channel, hit subscribe. If you want to interact with us, guys, on social media, you can find us at The War Rapport on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. We are TW Rapport on TikTok. That's it for now, guys, but definitely be on the lookout for Evan McGuire's interview releasing for everyone tomorrow morning.
Right.
And we definitely will finish recapping day 4 of Media Days on Sunday for the weekend tailgate when all the guys return. But until then, guys, enjoy the rest of your week. And as always, War Eagle.
War Eagle.